Welcome back to the Cryptocurrently podcast, soon to be renamed podcast, and this is in the spirit, let me channel Matt Christensen here of the Beauty and the Beta podcast. This is a wonderful show, a tremendous show, a fantastic show. It's also the #1 show in the world that you are listening to right now. Now listen, if you're listening, if you're watching on YouTube actually, I would like you to keep something in mind. This is a podcast recording. I'm making it available on video because some people don't have Spotify or SoundCloud or iTunes, right? They have flip phones, which is a completely honorable decision to make in your life. Like, there's just people out there that like, I don't want access to all the information at every moment of the day. I'm going to stick with the flip phone to prevent myself from being distracted by the onslaught of information that's going on. So for those people that they have to wait to get on home, and then they can pull it up on YouTube and they can watch it over here. Now, a couple things I want to get to. Listen, if you guys have advice for me, I get a lot of advice. I've had Raleigh Felton. It's been a huge help to this show. Like, all my graphics and stuff that you can see, that's all Raleigh Felton. Like. Todd Milligan, he reads my stuff and edits my stuff for me. I've got a number of things that I'm writing right now. 3 books by name I can tell you about. But I'm a writer. I'm not an editor. And I don't like editing and whatever. And if you've got advice for me, Bad Wolf just the other day said, "Hey man, I worked in the media for a long time as a computer engineering kind of guy. And I've got things that I can help you out with. Listen, if you have advice for me, bring it. But if that advice is going to come with a spoonful of shit, all right, I don't want it. If I don't know you, you cannot just walk up to me and start breaking my balls like you're one of my friends, right? When you're hanging out with your friends, you can break balls and insult one another. As a matter of fact, you should. It's good for you, right? It's good when dudes are sitting around beating up on each other, right? That's a healthy thing. But if some stranger comes in, starts beating up on everybody, well, it's like that's not friendly hanging out. That's a fight. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people out there who don't have any manners. Now, I've talked to you a number of times about like how important it is. Words are important to me. You lose the meaning of words, and your society will go off the rails real quick, and we can see that. We can see that right now. You've got people running around screaming Nazi, racist, Nazi, right? It's like, whoa. Wait a minute. Those words mean something, right? You lose those meaning of words, your society will not be able to function, because words are the way that you transact thoughts, right? It's a currency. It's your method of transacting thought. Do you understand? Manners are the same way. Right? When you lose manners as a society, boy, you're off the rails. Right? Now, in Western society, we tend to stick to the English manners. Right? Yes, sir, no, sir, please and thank you. Right? Those kinds of things. Etiquette and manners. And social media has opened up a new avenue to where those things are just, they're not only are they not used, it's like they're forgotten. And people just come up to one another, strangers go up to other strangers and just start insulting other people, right? It's like, well, listen, you filthy animal, like, you don't have any manners. Is this how, if you don't have any friends, that's why. It's because you don't have any manners. But if you do have friends, ask yourself, is that how you talk to your friends, right? Do you give them unsolicited advice without approaching them with a certain amount of tact? Candor, you know what I mean? Or do you just walk up there like, oh, your work sucks? Is that how you do it with them? Well, then, if it is, then you're going to fall into that first category I talked about a second ago of the guy that has no friends. You can't talk to people that way. It's not conducive to anything that's good, right? So if you have advice for me, please bring it. You guys know I'm open to it. You guys have seen it in the Telegram group. People, some of you guys write to me sometimes and, give advice. Sometimes it's not the easiest thing to to accept. But look, the fact is, I'm brand new at podcasting and YouTubing and Twittering and Instagramming and all that. So like, this is all new to me, man. I'm making a lot of mistakes, which is good. Like, you have to make a lot of mistakes. As a matter of fact, if you're not making mistakes, you're not living. There's people out there that say, like, you should live your life with no regrets, right? Well, I say beware of those people. There's only two ways to live your life with no regrets, and that's one, never leave your house, or two, lead an unexamined life. Those are the only two ways to avoid regrets. No regrets, I'm Scotty P, you know what I'm saying? Come on, name that movie. Ooh, name that movie. 10 points to the person who names that movie. No regrets. Dude, no, you should live your life full of regrets. Right? You should make a lot of mistakes. Do you know the biggest losers are? The biggest losers are venture capitalists, right? Oh, wait a minute, Pete, what can you possibly mean by that? Well, venture capitalists, right? They're some of the wealthiest of our civilization, right? You know what their job is to do? They go to work every day, and they say to themselves, I'm going to make 10 decisions today, and each one of those decisions is going to involve millions of dollars, and I'm going to make 10 of those decisions today, and what's worse, only one of them is going to work. I'm going to make 10 decisions, each one of those decisions involving millions of dollars, and 9 of them are going to fail. I'm going to lose 9 out of the 10 times. I'm going to make 9 humongous mistakes today. I'm going to make 9 mistakes today that are going to ruin the lives of a lot of people, right? Because they're going to be wrong. And they go through and they try to do their best, right? They try to pick the best companies that give them the best shot. But the fact is that, 8.5, 9 out of 10 times, 9 out of 10 times they're wrong. They lose millions and millions and millions of dollars. But the point is they keep going. They keep trying. They're not afraid of failure, right? You want to be a success in life? Get real. Don't fear the inevitable. You are going to fail a lot. And the more often you fail, the more successful you'll be. It's a paradox. There's a saying, like, if you're new, like I worked in finance for a long time, like there's a saying in the business world, like if you've never filed bankruptcy, then you've never done business, right? If you've never failed, then you've never tried. You know what I mean? When people made such a big deal out of Donald Trump and his, I think he's filed bankruptcy a number of times. I only remember the big one, like in the late 80s, early 90s. That's the only one I remember. But I think he's filed 3 or 4 times or something like that. People were like, oh my God, look at this failure. It's like, dude, are you, I take it you don't subscribe to the Wall Street Journal, right? Like if that's your contention that he should not, that he's a bad businessman because he's filed bankruptcy before, it's like, oh, you have no idea what you're talking about. You know what I mean? The complete amount of shite that is spoken in the world is amazing, and that's kind of where this show is going today. Look, we've got a lot to get to this week. I can't get to all of it today. I've got maybe an hour, right, to record and get it out there, get it published. There's a lot. Look, Maxine Waters. We've got those kids down at the border. That situation is looking worse and worse and worse. Like to the degree it's like, oh, now there's child trafficking going on, being operated and paid for by the federal government. That's what's on the table right now. Like, you think these upcoming days that in weeks and months and years in the American experience is going to go down like easy? You know what I mean? You think this is going to be smooth? It is not. There's a whole bunch of people that are about to get found out for some heinous shit. Some evil, demonic things are coming to light right now. This is not going to be an easy time, and you need to be prepared. You need to be ready, and you need to be sure of yourself. So we're going to get into a couple things today. Number 1, fake news, right? Say that phrase, fake news, to people over at the Young Turks or CNN or whatever, and it's like, oh, that's just, what are you, a right-winger, an alt-right? By the way, I still have, would somebody please explain to me what an alt-right is? Alt, what does that alt stand for? Alternative? Alternative to what? What does alt-right mean? What do you mean by, oh, that just means racist? Well, why didn't you just say racist then? There's an actual word called racist, right? Whatever. Anyways, Joe Scarborough comes out in this tweet. This is Joe Scarborough of NBC, right? He's a very famous news guy, right? He's a commentator. He's a face on the TV. And he tweets out, now listen to this. He's talking about President Trump, of course, Trump's centralized state. All right, so right there, like, he's crafting his words. He's trying to make it sound like the Trump administration is like Stalin's Russia, right? The centralized state. So let me read this. Trump's centralized state is even banning the Red Cross from visiting those infants and toddlers being incarcerated by Trump. What do Trump and Pence have to hide? That's his tweet. Here, I'll just read it in normal language, right? You make up your own tone for what it was that you think he was trying to convey. By the way, Joe Scarborough, it's very appropriate putting Abraham Lincoln's picture on your Twitter page. Anyways, Trump's centralized state is even banning the Red Cross from visiting those infants and toddlers being incarcerated by Trump. What do Trump and Pence have to hide? Well, I could comment on that till the cows come home, but I just want to point out that what he said was that the Red Cross was not being allowed to get into those camps and tend to the needs of infants and toddlers. All right, and the Red Cross replied. Now, it's important to note, I am not a fan of the Red Cross. I think that they are corrupt. I think that they take in a lot more money than they put out. And I'm not a fan of them, but I don't want to talk about that. The fact is they are a legitimate, bona fide nonprofit organization that does a lot of good work. All right. But the American Red Cross, they tweeted out to Joe Scarborough, says, replying to Joe at Joe NBC. And I quote, "This is not true, and we are sorry if our statement led you to this conclusion. We've had discussions with federal officials to see if there was any way that we can help. But no one is banning us from anything. And if there is a role for the Red Cross to play, we will." That's it. Right? Fake news. It's fake. It's not real. It's the opposite. Whatever the opposite of real is. Fake. You know what I mean? Joe Scarborough sends out this incendiary tweet because people they're so needy for emotions. Like, oh, if I don't get a dose of anger today, I'm not going to know that I'm still alive. And he sends this tweet out and people just going, oh my God, this Hitler guy, the centralized state, they're not even letting the Red Cross in for the infants and the toddlers. What kind of monsters are they? Right? And then it turns out, no, it's fake. The American Red Cross replied to him and said, hey, dude, that's not true what you said. It's not true what you said. Why did you say that? That's fake news, right? He's a news guy. He broadcasts something out on social media, which, by the way, social media is bigger than media. Twitter is bigger than television. YouTube is bigger than television, right? Social media is bigger than media. It is the media now. It's the medium in which ideas and thoughts are exchanged, and art and all kinds of other things. This is the medium. So to think, well, it's his own Twitter page and, he can do whatever. It's like, no. He's a respected newsman. He's not a journalist. I've never seen him working a beat. But he has a certain amount of respect. He makes a lot of money. People listen to him. It's like, dude, you have to be very precise with your words. More so than I do. You know what I mean? I know how big my fan base is. Like, if I say something stupid or wrong, that's an easy cleanup job. You know what I mean? I talk one-on-one with just about every single one of my fans. You know what I mean? Like, but when you have millions of people who listen to you, it's like, boy, that's a different, you're in a different, echelon of responsibility there, Fake news. So Joe Scarborough tweets that out. And my point in saying all of this is like, dude, there's a lot of things that happen like this, right? Joe Scarborough, where nothing ever gets questioned, and because of that, like, it never gets corrected. Now, we're lucky in this case, right? It's lucky that the American Red Cross saw this tweet and corrected Joe Scarborough in the open. All right, we're lucky for a number of reasons, not least of which is the fact that there's going to be a lot of leftists who see that and be like, oh, Joe Scarborough, you have a tendency to say things that aren't true, that are just incendiary, and that's less than ethical, can we say? But there's a lot of this stuff that goes on, and as we've been talking about cryptocurrencies for months and months now, I have a tendency, like, when I read these news stories, I'm like, oh, whoa, wait a minute, right? www. Wait. What are you talking about? You're telling me that the Red Cross was blocked, was denied access to something that's happening on U.S. soil, right? Like, if the American Red Cross had not responded to that, I still would have looked at that and be like, hold on a minute, whoa. You're claiming, right? You are alleging that the American Red Cross is being denied access to a tragedy that's happening on U.S. soil. That's a hell of a claim there, right? Because if that's true, somebody needs to go to jail. You know what I mean? And it turns out it wasn't true. But what else? There's something else happening right now. And look, as I said, there's a lot of stuff to get to, and the media. Mainstream media, which is everybody. It's CNN and it's Fox. It's MSNBC and it's whoever else. Wherever you take your news, right? Mainstream media is like everybody who's not, Ben Shapiro or even the Young Turks. I hate to even say their name because that's a disgusting organization as far as I'm concerned. It's being run by a bunch of half-wits, but. Mainstream news is the news that you can see on television if you're still paying for cable, right? These people on all sides are not giving you, like I heard now Sean Hannity, for example. Sean Hannity is kind of a funny thing to me because I really don't like his television show. I don't like who he becomes on that show. He gets into, as I said, over the weekend, like. Those people, they have guests on their show and they just yell at each other for 7 minutes and then they cut to commercial. That's no way to have a discussion. It doesn't help me. That does not bring me, the viewer, closer to whatever the truth is. I just saw you all angry and it made me angry. And I don't like feeling angry. You know what I mean? So you actually pushed me further away from the truth, Sean Hannity, or Joe Scarborough, or Rachel Maddow, or whatever. You know what I mean? You're not getting me closer to the truth. I even made this complaint about Tucker Carlson, who's like the one guy over there that I truly enjoy, his point of view. But, Sean Hannity, he also has a radio show for a couple hours a day. And that radio show I really do like. It actually turns out Sean Hannity's actually not too bad at interviewing people that he disagrees with, because in a radio format, he has way more time. And he's alone in a room, right? There's no, he can't see faces and he can't, there's no threats, whatever. He's just sitting there in a room talking to people. And if you listen to his radio show, it's like, whoa, that's a different person almost. But aside from all that, Joe Scarborough with fake news, and I saw something over the weekend on Friday's show, the Hannity show. He was yelling at mainstream media saying, you people are all, indignant right now, but you guys had nothing to say about this when this was happening. You had nothing to say about this when the Obama administration was being sued successfully, right? The Obama administration was sued for wrongful death because of kids dying in those camps, and they lost, right? The judge found in favor of the plaintiff, right? The Obama administration was sued and they lost. Wrongful death, right? It has been proven that some of those kids were sold off into child sex slavery. That's been proven. And Hannity was yelling at the mainstream media saying, where was your indignation then? Which is, that is a fair thing to say. I'm with you, Sean, on that one. The problem is I don't remember you saying anything yourself, Sean. Or Fox News for that matter. Fox News, listen, I am a conservative. I am a Christian, right? I am a Republican. I'm going to be tuning into your news. No, if I ever do turn on cable news. If I do turn on cable news, it's going to be you, right? It's not going to happen very often, but when it does happen, it will be you. So let me say this as somebody that you can count on to, turn on your show and have your advertisers try to sell me stuff on the commercial break. Let me say this to you. Shame on you. You had a huge story. Did it just completely, was it outside of the scope of your view? Were you not able to see that the Obama administration had gotten sued for wrongful death? Why was that not the biggest story of your career? Why was that not the drum that you were beating day in and day out? So that somebody could go down there during the Obama administration when all those pictures that we're now seeing in the media, we're now seeing those pictures of what those kids were living through. You people didn't press that issue when it was happening? When Obama was sitting in office? Why? Why didn't you run that story? And Mr. Hannity, I don't remember you saying anything about it at all either. You want to point your finger at them, that's fine. They didn't run that story, you're right, they're hypocritical. But you didn't run it either, and it was your responsibility to do that, to inform the rest of us. So as we move into whatever this age is going to be called when it's all said and done, when historians look back on this day and age and say, well, this was the whatever period. Sean Hannity, like you people, you at Fox News, it is your responsibility to give us the news, right? To tell all of the stories, and don't just stay on what the enemy directs you, leads you into, right? Don't do that. If you are distracted by something else in the political realm, maybe you were too busy focusing on Hillary Clinton. You know what I mean? Like maybe you were too busy focusing on her because it was election time, right? You didn't see that as an opportunity. I know that you people knew that Obama got sued. Why didn't you run that story when Hillary Clinton was running for president and Bernie Sanders? Why didn't you use that story to expose who those people are? There's children being sold off into sexual slavery. Sean Hannity, with your righteous finger, pointing at the enemy. You should have ran that story. All of you should have. Shame on you. On to the next point of what we're talking about here. Look, as I said, we are moving into a very dangerous time. Hillary Clinton said something to the effect of, if Donald Trump wins, we're going to hang by the neck from effing nooses. Right? We all saw that in her email. If he wins, we're going to hang by nooses. Hung to death. Why would she say that? Right? The prospect of having an outsider being the commander-in-chief of the United States is so revolting to these people, all of them. It's not just Democrats, it's Republicans too, right? There are secrets coming out, and there's a lot of people on both sides of the aisle, both Republican and Democrat, who've been doing some very demonic things. And the last thing these people want is light being shined on them. Shown? Shined. Yeah, whatever. Right? Now it comes out. Listen to this. Lost immigrant children, right? Lost immigrant children. This is from Snopes. Hope you like this. And God help me and forgive me for quoting or reading anything from Snopes. Did the Obama administration place immigrant children with human traffickers? And Snopes says, yes, he did. A congressional report and a criminal indictment. All right? What's indictment again, folks? Indictment is impeachment for regular people. Right? A congressional report and a criminal indictment resulted from a 2014 incident in which multiple immigrant children were handed off to a human trafficking ring. Handed off? Handed off by who? Good question. I see your skills of asking questions is getting stronger. The claim: Obama administration placed immigrant children with human traffickers. Rating: true. On June 17th of this year, right-wing blog. Okay, again, what's a right wing? All right. Right-wing blogs published a flurry of stories reporting that the administration of former United States President Barack Obama had handed immigrant children over to human traffickers. Okay, right there, right? Now, it's real easy to get lost in the news. Like, oh, this is some children that don't even actually exist. They just exist on TV. And as we all know, everything on TV isn't real. Right? But no. Listen to the claim. Children. Right? I have one child. I'm about to have two. Right? Some of you have children. So when you see in the news, like, Barack Obama handed over immigrant children, why don't you just switch that language up a little bit to Barack Obama had handed over my son, right? You say that to yourself. Barack Obama handed over my child, right? And make it personal, because these were actual children that were handed over to traffickers. Traffickers of what? Humans, right? Now you understand, like, this is a demonic problem. The Obama administration had handed immigrant children over to human traffickers. The reports were posted in response to the public outcry over a policy enacted by Obama's successor, Donald Trump, whose administration in April 2018 announced a zero-tolerance immigration policy. Under this policy, all adults who are caught crossing the southern U.S. border between ports of entry are being charged with federal crimes and then separated from accompanied children. Well, naturally, because when you throw people in jail, you can't throw their children in jail with them. As the policy went into effect, news reports documenting scenes of distraught, traumatized children being torn from their parents by immigration authorities and images migrant children being held in cages created a backlash from both sides of the political spectrum against the Trump administration. In response to the growing fallout, the president's supporters wrote up stories criticizing his predecessor based on a 2015 criminal case. A criminal case. And a 2016 Senate report. Remember, the Senate, it's smaller than Congress. Every state, all 50 states, you only get 2 senators. Right? The Senate report stemming from a Marion, Ohio human trafficking ring. Right? So not just one guy, a ring, a consortium, if you will, that used migrant children, that used my children. Right? Say that to yourself, my children. Because these are living souls. They are living human beings. If you have children, change the language a little bit so this story becomes more personal, so that you can get a whiff of what this actually reeks of. Trafficking ring that used migrant children for forced labor on an egg farm. Right-leaning blogs like WesternJournal.com's Conservative Tribune, for example, confusingly reported that the media was silent about the case while exaggerating their story from aggregating their story from a New York Magazine report. Right? It goes on and on and on. Look. This all, right, okay, as I've said before, a strange occurrence happening, that's like a one-time thing. The same thing happening twice, that's a coincidence. So the same thing happening in 3 different scenarios, that's evidence, right? We are far past the level of coincidence now, right? So now we have the Obama administration being sued for wrongful death. We have a absolute fact that the Obama administration got found selling off children to human traffickers, child traffickers. Those are just the ones that got caught. Right? That's another thing, is like you have to look at the news and say, well, if this is an iceberg and this is the surface of the iceberg, how deep does this thing go? Right? Because we look back over to Senator Nancy Schaefer. Senator Nancy Schaefer, who was just killed just a couple of years ago, 2010, all right? Go onto YouTube, all right? Or if you're watching this video, go up to the search bar, just type in Nancy Schaefer. She was exposing that our federal government had created an industry of trafficking children, an industry that has an allotment of over $40 billion a year, right? $40 billion a year, that's about half of what America was spending on cocaine in the early 90s, right? Annually. It's $40 billion. It's a lot of money. And the government, our federal government, has over $40 billion earmarked for child trafficking legally through Child Protective Services, CPS. There's a whole dirty story behind there, and it's not conspiracy theory, it's fact, right? And when there's that kind of money on the table, you know some dirty shit's going to go down. That's a lot of money. And Nancy Schaefer was exposing it, and she lost her Senate seat because of it. And then, right, she kept on in her crusade. She kept pointing out, like, dude, there is some dirty stuff going on here. People are selling these children off, and now we can't find those children. She was making that point, and then all of a sudden, she decides to shoot her husband in the chest, and then have a taste of that barrel for herself. Right? You go back. You decide. You look at those videos of her talking. It's like, does that look like a woman who's lost her way in life? Does that look like a woman who has achieved the level of seclusion that you would need to commit suicide? To murder your husband of 30 years or something like that, and then kill yourself? Do you know how much horrible things have to go wrong in your life to get to that mental place? Like, you have to be very well secluded. You can't have anybody around you talking words of peace and life into you, because it'll make you want to keep living. Does that look like a lady that fits that description? You look at the videos yourself. Look at the videos from 2010 and 2009, the year before, because she was killed in March, I think it was, of 2010. You go back and look at those videos. Does that look like a lady that killed herself? Oh, Pete, I'm not a clinical psychologist. Come on. You know when people have a dark cloud over their head, do they look like that? Right? So now you've got a couple other coincidences. And by the way, she was alleging Clintons. Like, she was calling out the Clintons by name. That'll get you killed. Right? Now we find out that, yes, indeed, the federal government has been trafficking in children. They've been taking these sweet, innocent little children, the ones that the left finally have a sense of righteous indignation about. They were taking those same kids and selling them to human traffickers. That's not a theory, right? That is a conspiracy fact. It's not a theory anymore. It's right there on the internet. You can read it for yourself. This is what's been going on. Now, let's talk about it, because you're going to hear leftists saying, well, oh, that was just that one, right? Or interestingly enough, that they'll say, because there's right now for 2000, for 2018, I think there's like almost 2,000 children that are missing. They're just missing, right? Because the way the system is these kids come over and they're unaccompanied. Thousands of them, like 2,000 a month, are coming over, and they don't have anybody that they're related to with them, right? And what they're saying is like, look, under the Trump administration, there's a whole bunch of these kids that have gone missing. Oh yes, that's true. There is a lot of kids that have gone missing, and if you go back and you take all of the numbers from 2014 to 2018, there's a lot of children missing. There was over 19,658 kids that were taken into custody at the border because they were unaccompanied and placed with a sponsor. Right? Now, that's what the news says. Right? The news says, oh, well, these kids, they came over, and God bless Barack Obama. The system that's in place is that these kids are placed with a sponsor. End of story. Right? But it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Who are these sponsors? Are they foster parents? Are they government officials? Are they people who've attended, some sort of series of classes on how to handle this situation? Who are these people? And when you dive into that story, this becomes way more depressing. These people are people we have no idea who they are. We have no idea what their qualifications are. All we know is that there's $40 billion, over $40 billion of money that is set aside for allegedly taking care of these kids, right? And we have 20,000 kids that have been placed in who knows where these kids are. The number of kids that are lost that they cannot track down, this is staggeringly high. What's worse is that it's right here on the front page. These people that have done this investigating here, let me find this one thing. Okay, when a child who is not accompanied by a parent or legal guardian is apprehended by immigration authorities, the child is transferred. Okay, so the child was in the hands of immigration and now they're transferred, right? They go to a different department. So no longer in the hands of, Border Patrol or ICE or anybody. The child is transferred to the care and custody of the Office of Refugee Resettlement, ORR. Office of Refugee Resettlement, are these refugees? Right? An office like OMB, like the Office of Management and Budget, the Department of Weights and Measures. There is a federal office called the Office of Refugee Resettlement. That's this kid. That's who's handling these kids. In Homeland or HHS Administration for Children and Families. HHS primary legal authority is to temporarily house, feed, provide medical care and safety, and then safely release the unaccompanied children to sponsors. Quote, usually family members. Well, wait a minute. What do you mean usually? How often is usually? Is it 90% of the time? Or is it 0.01% of the time? When you say usually, that's usually code for we have no idea what we're talking about. While they await immigration proceedings. Sponsors, okay, here we go. Sponsors are adults who are suitable to provide for the child's physical and mental well-being and have not engaged in any activity that would indicate a potential risk to the child. Oh, I see. So when these children got found out for being used for slave labor, that whoever those people were, they passed the test, right? Has the test been fixed? Right? All sponsors must pass a background check, that's easy. The sponsors must agree to ensure the child's presence at all future immigration proceedings. They also must agree to ensure the minor reports to ICE for removal from the United States if an immigration judge issues a removal order or voluntary departure order. You have to keep in mind that everything that was just said is like we have a bureaucracy for this and a bureaucracy for that. There's 3 different forms, what I can see right there, 3 different DMVs that you have to go through, right? There's children being sold into slavery by the federal government. That's your money, my money, that is saying yes to that, right? You need to call your congressperson, right? Or tweet to your congressperson and say, what's the deal? What's going on here? The Obama administration got caught, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. We still have $40 billion more to go, right? And people are going to get found out and other people are going to get killed over this information. There's people that know things, and just like, you know, in the case of that senator lady, you know, they went and killed her, and you could say, oh, that's just conspiracy theory. Okay, fine, you're right. No one has ever been charged in the murder of that senator. But look at it. You look at it. Does that, you know what I mean? That lady was exposing a $40 billion industry to sell children into sexual slavery and labor slavery. You know what I mean? Like, evidently, this is a huge business. And now we're seeing you've got 20,000 kids that have been placed in sponsors. That's 20,000 kids. 20,000. You have any idea what a logistical undertaking that is? It's huge. It's impossible. 20,000 kids. So you've placed those kids, but not all of our, you know, nation's homeless people, right? You were able to put something together real quick and fix the problems of those kids, but you know, you're still not smart enough to fix the homeless situation. No, you're not. You're not smart enough for either of those. Those kids, God knows where these kids are. God knows who these sponsors are. You know what I mean? Who are these people that these kids are going to? Why isn't anybody asking these questions? Why is it, you know, Mr. Hannity, that you're not out there or you know, taking reporters from Fox News and sending them in, actual journalists, and finding out who are these sponsors? Where are these kids? There's 20,000 of them. Where are they? Where's this money going to? Who's getting paid? Who's getting rich off of this? That's $40 billion that senator lady was reporting. Somebody's getting paid. Somebody's getting rich, and we need to find those people and weed them out before they kill however many more people to hide their shame, right? And then we need to deal with those people very severely. Anyways, that's the show for today. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to become a sponsor, you can go on to archadvocate.com, arch-advocate.com, become a Patreon member, or just throw some dough my way for a one-time thing. Thanks for tuning in. We got a long way to go, folks. Long way to go. Also, John McAfee's in the hospital. Anyways, we'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.